Oh, hi there. Been a little while since I've made a hockey video. I figured I'd cover a topic that I've not brought up before uh, concerning the sale of the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim, owned by Disney, to the Samili family. That happened in 2005, and the team's name was subsequently changed to Anaheim Ducks instead of the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim, which does kind of make sense. Changed the logo and the jersey and that sort of stuff. The team was more or less the same. The Anaheim Mighty Ducks before 2005 were a strong team anyway. They made a playoff appearance, Stanley Cup Finals against the New Jersey Devils, for anyone who didn't know. They lost, but it was a good series. I have the DVD in my collection of New Jersey winning that cup. There's just a few things I wanted to bring up. It's not necessarily that I don't like the jerseys that they have now, or that they're called the Anaheim Ducks, because I actually think that's better, but more specifically, I'd be interested in seeing them become owned by Disney once again, because they are a hockey franchise, and it would be good for that city. Because I know, because I was in Anaheim in April, there's not really a fan base there, not a significant one anyway. There are reasons for that why I'm not really going to get into it. You'd figure, a city that's hot all the time, you'd want to be inside where it's cool, but no, a lot of people don't like that. I was there, and I saw very few Anaheim Ducks merchandise. Like hats. You don't have to wear a bright orange jersey like I am, although I did, to support your local team, but they didn't appear interested. It's a little bit of business that I'm looking from the outside in, trying to figure out what could possibly have gone on. There are other things, there are only X amount of super rich companies, individuals who can up and buy teams and make moves, far less than people think, and they just have a lot of people that work for them. The Samili family was able to win a Stanley Cup pretty much right away as soon as they bought the team, because the foundation of the team was there. Jean-Sébastien Giguère was the goalie, had been for many years. He's a very competent goalie, and there were a few other components that were there that made the team work. I think at that point in time, money was being changed around. It was passing hands and moving different places. And Disney may have saw a business opportunity elsewhere, but they needed a bit more oomph to get it done, and a bit more money, and they looked at their assets and saw the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim and went, this could be worth a lot, and decided to sell them. The team was well put together, and of course they won a Stanley Cup in 2007 against the Ottawa Senators. It looked like they were going to be, a Stanley Cup contender at that point in time, similar to the Chicago Blackhawks a couple of years before they actually won the Stanley Cup in 2010. They looked like a force to be reckoned with, and it looked like it was only a matter of time before they were going to win a Stanley Cup. And, the Samili family noticed that when Disney sold the team to them, that there was a lot of potential for the Anaheim Ducks. Because when a team wins a Stanley Cup, it brings a lot of money, not necessarily to the city, but to individuals who own the team, who work for the team, and all that sort of stuff, and whatever other perks it comes with. I have no idea. And I think Disney may have sold it because they had other ambition. I think they were very much interested in acquiring the rights to Star Wars. As everyone knows, Disney bought up Star Wars. 2005 is when the team was sold to the Samili family, and it's also when Revenge of the Sith was released in theaters. And I won't say it was a flop, although it did get a lot of really bad reviews. I mean, for what the movie was, it was what it was. It didn't make as much money as they put into it at first. Over time, it's over $300 million that it's made now, and that isn't too bad considering that we live in an age where people just download stuff and they don't want to buy merchandise and things like that. But still, it's not that great. I mean, George Lucas was in a bind. That's the only reason why he sold the rights to Disney. And perhaps Disney was in a similar bind when they sold the Anaheim Ducks team to the Samili family. Disney's big name. I mean, you've seen the South Park episodes with Mickey Mouse in it. You do not fuck with Mickey Mouse. He's got a lot of plans, and the CEOs of the Anaheim Ducks and of Disney are very serious people, and they want greater influence, and I think Disney reacquiring the Anaheim Ducks would be a good thing. If I can put my 2 cents in, if anyone's interested. I understand that there's a lot of legal entanglements and business applications that would have to be considered, and there's no way the Samili family is just going to hand it back. It's not like the natives and they want their land back kind of deal. It's like, no, this guy is not going to give it back, and or not going to sell it back either, not willingly. I mean, Disney can be very, very persuasive though, and the NHL is going to be expanding. I just think it's a combination of things. I think Disney saw greater potential in Star Wars and invested their money into that rather than the Anaheim Ducks team. And you can't trust the figures they put up on the Wikipedia, on the Google, because when you're dealing with that kind of money, people have a tendency to, manipulate the numbers or make up, fictional statistics. And, us from the sidelines, just because someone says, this sold for that much, or this is worth that much, it doesn't mean that they can be trusted. I just know that Disney is a power-hungry organization, and they want as much influence as possible. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, Disney's been around a long time, and they're very intelligent people who run it. I'm not going to say very nice, because they're kind of not, but contrary to the Anaheim Mighty Ducks movie, or not, the Mighty Ducks movies, not, they weren't Anaheim, but the Mighty Ducks movies where, you know, it's all kind of happy and this, that, and the other. You know, in reality, they're all kind of mean, because when you're dealing with that kind of money, people have a tendency to get really mean. But how much worse can they be than, you know, a lot of the other NHL franchises or any other sport franchises, really? I mean, when you get to the nitty gritty, just about everybody's an asshole. And I'm sure the Samili family is no different. It's just what direction they want the team to go, what they're going to do with the finances. These are all kind of shrouded in mystery. I mean, Disney is shrouded in mystery, but at least it's, you know, been around a long time, brought a lot of content to media. We know Disney has done this and that. We know them a lot better than the Samili family. Samili family is a lot more secretive, and I'm not saying they're not playing an active role in other fields, but we don't entirely know exactly what they're doing. We know a lot more about Disney than we know about the Samili family. Us common everyday folk, I mean, anybody who knows anything has a tendency to keep their mouth shut when they're supposed to, because either they're told, look, you're going to get punished if you do start talking, or B, we're going to cut you off and you'll never learn anything new. Well, I never was invited in the first place, and the threat of being cut off from information is not one that's applicable to me. It's not going to work. I know it's a very complicated thing. The sale of a team, who has the rights to it, what they can do with it, and all that sort of stuff. I'm just a country bumpkin. I don't know that kind of stuff. I don't really care, because it's really fucking boring, to be honest with you. I don't want to read a bunch of paper shit or any of that kind of garbage. The gist of it, someone could explain. And, you know, I figure if Disney is able to reacquire the Mighty Ducks, that an agenda I'm trying to push through my social media is the Vancouver Canucks switching the Orca logo. And this is, you know, kind of taking things back to where they used to be. Because we're at a point in history where we've learned from the past mistakes. Anyone who was particularly incorrect in whatever it was they were doing before, they understand the ramifications of that. We don't have as many egomaniacs running around as we used to. And the thing is, the NHL, I'm not saying during 2005, but over the last few years has actually not been particularly entertaining. Through various mechanisms. I suspect Obama. Like, Obama, you know, there are reasons, okay, and I might make a video about that later, why he would have influence in sports and why he would, you know, be interested in meddling in their affairs. Because it's domestic propaganda for the television, for the mainstream media. So they definitely have a say in it, and I suspect President Obama and Disney would have had contradictory views on how things should be run. That's just a suspicion of mine at this point. I could be proven wrong, but as with most things, no one has approached me and said, no, you're wrong because of this, and said it in a plausible way. It's like they're not capable of doing that. I mean, I've given ample opportunity, but I've never heard anyone try to contradict anything I have to say. And it's not that I wouldn't listen, it's just I don't hear it. And, you know, like, I never hear anyone try to contradict me. And, you know, obviously I don't know everything, and you know, some of my ideas are probably far-fetched, but there's no reason that there shouldn't be open dialogue. Anyway, I'm all about money moving hands, and there are some hockey organizations that I'm not particularly fond of. There are people who work for particular hockey institutions who are good people. There's bad people with every hockey institution. So I mean, sure, you could switch money, switch ownership and things like that, and get rid of some assholes. I mean, they'll be replaced with different assholes who are similar in that regard, but it won't be quite the same. Yeah, but yeah, getting back to Vancouver and me pushing the agenda of them returning to the retro style of the Vancouver Canucks team, as to opposed to Orca Bay. I'm starting to call him the Killer Croc. I never liked Killer Croc as a Batman character, for reasons I'm not going to get into. Some people don't like being called names, and that's fine, but there are a lot of people who don't like being called names, but have no problem calling other people names. So, yeah, I mean, like, I'm not for insulting people. I don't really like doing it if I don't have to, but there most certainly are things about the Canucks organization I do not like. They have a good PR team. Everybody really likes them. And you go, well, that's not the fault of particular individuals. They're just trying to make the best of a situation and trying to help the team and trying to make, you know, things good. But to mask the evil and all the wrong things with an organization is not the appropriate thing to do. Because, you know, it seems as though whenever a team either gets sold to another place, or something happens in that particular city or whatever, it does affect things. Like, as I've made the point before, in 1997, handover of Hong Kong from the British back to the mainland Chinese. They haven't entirely done that, probably never will, but the Chinese mainlanders have more say in Hong Kong than they used to. And this is part of the, you know, the Pacific Rim area. And the Killer Croc Orca Bay logo, I'm not for it. I think it presents a friendly message that is really a disguise for an evil organization. I mean, they put Trevor Linden, one of the most beloved Vancouver Canucks, as a major player on the Canucks organization. He's the face of it, but behind the scenes he answers to people who are not nice people. And there's a lot of money invested in the Vancouver Canucks that come from sources that you can't like and you shouldn't trust. Wouldn't like them if you knew them anyway, guaranteed. And the thing is, to make these kind of decisions, you have to mentally prepare, and you have to be able to tolerate being in the same business negotiations with people that you absolutely can't stand, because that's just the way it is. And I know the business plan I'm proposing, my idea for what direction the Pacific Rim NHL team should do, is going to piss people off. People don't want to hear that, you know, I want to get rid of the Orca logo. Mostly for really stupid reasons, because they're very ignorant on certain subjects, and they just, there's social mechanisms that inhibit one person's ability to explain things to them. And I think getting the Vancouver Canucks back to more of the old style how they ran things requires other teams in the vicinity to also revert back to similar tendencies they had in the past. I mean, obviously learn from the mistakes, but kind of just go back to a more similar kind of circumstance. And I think Disney reacquiring the Mighty Ducks would be a step in that direction, and it would help me out with my plans to get the Vancouver Canucks to switch back to the skate logo and perhaps build a new kind of organization. Well, people go, oh, you must have, the ego the size of a hot air balloon if you honestly think anything you have to say is of any significance. You'd be surprised. You watch, I know things, okay, man. I could explain things in layman's terms to destroy industries if I wanted to. And it's not because I'm particularly intelligent, it's more like there are a lot of people who are particularly dumb. So, that in consideration, I think in order for the Aquilinis, who are not nice people, as well as other people who've invested their money into the Vancouver Canucks organization, in order for them to be removed and replaced with, well, other assholes, but people who are more to the liking of the fan base of the Vancouver Canucks, there are other teams that have to change too. And I think the current ownership of the Anaheim Ducks has to revert back to the Mighty Ducks. And Disney is getting bigger and more powerful. They've always been a powerhouse, but they're getting bigger and more powerful. And since they bought up Star Wars, they have so many ideas of where to go with that series. And, some people have got to try to lend a hand in helping them make moves, expand their empire, basically. And, it might work. If nothing else, this video serves as a piece of propaganda for YouTubers. Because, I don't really like the Orca logo. Since the team switched to that, the city's changed a lot, and in a lot of ways not for the better. In some ways for the better, but in a lot of ways not. And it's not an easy thing to explain to people, because a lot of people don't want to hear it, don't want to know, and don't associate an NHL hockey club with a particular city, even if they're representing that city. They're representing that city. So, they definitely have a big say in what goes on in that city, and what verbal noise and just the general consensus and feeling of what's going on in that particular city. The hockey club is a massive morale boost. Even though, it's a self-serving industry that really only cares about itself. Even so, somehow a team representing your city and being successful is good, though. It is, but, it could be better. Obviously, it should be of some benefit to the fans, and I don't mean bragging rights when they win the Stanley Cup. That's nothing. That's like, I don't know what it's like, but it's, that's nothing to be like, oh yeah, my team beat your team, even though it's not really my team. It's a team I'm observing and happen to like because I live in that city. That's, ignorant hockey mentality. I like teams that are good, and the Vancouver Canucks, I got 7 of their jerseys, the most populous jersey I have, and I live in Vancouver. But there have been times where I've really not liked them. And a component to this would be switching the Mighty Ducks back to Disney. And I think with this shift of money, that could happen. And also when Disney sold the rights to the Samueli family, it's not like all of the Disney representatives for the NHL club got canned. A lot of low-level management probably didn't. Most of the CEOs were probably out of a job because the team got sold, and that was their specialty, was the hockey aspect of Disney. That probably happened because the Samueli family, obviously they didn't want anyone else meddling in their business, and they wanted their guys to get the jobs. So, a few people lost their shirts over it. perhaps them and their merry band of friends can help promote the idea that I'm pitching, the story that I'm pitching, the business plan that I'm pitching. There must be people out there that think similar to me and are more capable than me of actually going about and moving this project forward. I understand this is all kind of hypothetical, don't really know. Not going to ask Google about it because Google will just lie. When you're dealing with this kind of money, you have to go on what you observe. And you know, the two things is the Anaheim Mighty Ducks didn't sell their team until 2005, whereas the Vancouver Canucks, they switched over in 1997 when Mark Messier showed up. But sometimes you got to turn the clock around a few times just to get it back to the time zone it's supposed to be in. You know, fix the damn clock. Yeah, this would be a massive construction plan as far as you know, business goes, and I don't have the resources or intelligence to know that offhand exactly how it would work. I'm just going based on what I see, and I think if a body is willing to help other people with their business plan and enough people get together, then you can affect change. And you know, I'm not an idealist, I'm not a, you know, a socialist or whatever, or any of that kind of stuff. I'm not brainwashed by moronic ideology. You'd never see me at a rally or anything like that. But I do have keen interest in seeing change, and I think in order for change of this nature to happen on such a massive scale, it requires components switching from more than just one organization. Anyway, it's just a thought bubble I had for the time being. So I guess I will talk to you guys later. Have a good one.